Hi everyone, it's Sally here, and today, as you can see, I'm going to be drawing some sugar skulls. So let's hang out for half an hour. I am going to ramble on about various things, and hopefully, you will have grabbed some pens and some paper of your own, or whatever it is that takes your fancy and gives you some fun and enjoyment for this little time when we are together. Um, I got, and what you're seeing here, some free paints. Free paints. Can you imagine the excitement of free paints? My husband is actually an Amazon Vine reviewer, and all sorts of curiosities turn up at our house for him to review. One of them was this fabulous set of paints that you see here, and it has things like metallics, it has fluorescent paints. Well, I lost my mind, obviously, and I had to think of something that would be worthy of trying these things out. So it was autumn, and sugar skulls are the fashion, are they not? Every October. I've never ever drawn sugar skulls, but these fluorescent paints, and you can see in that shot there is fluorescent pink, fluorescent yellow, fluorescent orange. They just seem the obvious choice. I was feeling like doing line drawing rather than any kind of uh, more abstract painting. I do love a line drawing. So, sugar skulls it was. I've never drawn them before. Never. They've always caught my eye because obviously they are very, very clever artistic things, but I had never gone there. So I thought I would try out some postcards, some watercolor paper. It's A6. I got a little pad of A6 watercolor paper so that I could make these postcards. The reason for the size is because it's not too big. You can detail away to your heart's content, but it's only a tiny little piece of paper, so it contains the time, and it restrains you, and you don't get terribly stressed by it. I think working on small paper is a really, really good thing to do if you have limited time in which you can produce art, because you can have fun that way and you can finish things that way. So you can see that I've got a few sugar skulls knocking about. This one's obviously come a long way because I'm onto the watercolor, but I didn't start here. I started doodling in an exercise book with a ballpoint pen. And I have to say, my first foray into sugar skull drawing was not good. There were a lot of what looked like really disturbed clowns, really quite somber, disturbed, not cute clowns. They were obviously clowns in search of a chainsaw or something, and they were seriously ill. So that wasn't really where I was going with it. I had to have sort of a few goes at getting into the mood of it. And I find when you're drawing new things, when you are approaching things that you've never drawn before, you have to kind of just scribble around, look at photos. I pulled up lots of photos from Google and just find out how they work, find out what the shapes are, and then find out how those shapes work for you. So we can see here a sugar skull has this big domed head, obviously. Um, and then we've got the eye sockets, which kind of lead into cheekbones, which is what I'm just painting here. So big eye sockets. And then that goes across to the top teeth. The jaw, obviously, is separate. I have changed drawings here. Don't panic. This isn't a different video. I was doing three at once. They were in various stages of drying. I thought I was being clever. Anyway, yes. So this one also has, as you can see, a domed skull, and the cheekbones and the eye sockets going on goes down to the top level of teeth, and then the bottom level are separate. This one here, actually, I was trying to channel more of a Mexican Frida Kahlo vibe, hence the eyebrow. And I was just experimenting with these things. I wanted the three things that I was drawing, the three postcards, to be very different because I wanted to try out different colorways, different paints. If you remember, the new paints are there, and I wanted to use different colorways on each one, and really find out how I felt about drawing sugar skulls. There were three. This is one that sort of came to look a bit like a space alien, and then you will see as I go on, and the colours that I choose with this one, it reminds me of something I've seen. It really does. It looks like some 50s B movie poster or a travel poster or something. I've seen it. I know I've seen it, but I can't place it. I think it's something maybe with a Hawaiian on it or something, or it's a B movie alien. The colours you'll see when it's painted. If you know it, then you'll agree with me. Um, Here I am drawing her teeth. You can see on this one more clearly that the top of the skull is one unit. So the dome and the sockets and the cheekbones and the top teeth are all part of one thing, and then the jaw and the bottom teeth are separate. If you don't believe me, prod your finger into your cheekbone and feel around your own face. You'll find out that's how it works. This one obviously not got any colour on it yet. Both. There were three. There's one actually I don't admit to because I really, really didn't like it. It is in here briefly, but I didn't give it much viewing time because I fell out with it. We'll come to that when it shows up. But they all got drawn with a coloured pencil first. Well, the evil one has crept into that shop. They all got drawn with a coloured pencil first, and then I went over them with the sepia fine liner, which are waterproof, obviously, because otherwise that would be very blobby. So I've got this cutesy one here, which turned out to be my favourite, and I finished that all the way. There's the space alien in the middle, and then here is whatever that is. For those of you my age, Skeletor, I feel. Some sort of Skeletor creation. I wasn't happy with it. I took it to a certain extent. I did put paint on it, as you can see, but I didn't take it much beyond that. Here I am putting the first wash of light green on my B-movie poster. I thought I'll go with some more Mexican colours, but I don't know what happened. I don't hate it as much as the one that I've just passed through the shot, but there's the one that I carried on, which is probably why I'm going back to it now. At this point, you can see I'm adding another layer of paint because the original washes that I've put on it are nice and dry. There is the fluorescent pink paint, and I'm using a 0 round brush to get into those tiny, tiny spaces. Remember, it's only an A6 piece of card. Yeah, it is kind of colouring in. It's not proper grown-up painting, but quite honestly, I was having fun. I was putting fluorescent paint and some fluorescent orange there onto lots of dots, and that makes me happy. I guess if you wanted to be giving things labels, and I don't really like labelling things because I think that sets off all sorts of things in our brain. It's a folk art style. It's my style is somewhere between folk art and fashion illustration because, well, I did a fashion degree about 1,000 years ago, so that's what comes naturally. And I just love colour and shape, and I can attempt fine art if I'm forced to, and I have been forced to on occasion. But to be honest, it's just not what does it for me. I like having fun with colour, and that's why I've started this channel, because I feel that I'm not alone. Yeah, I'm trying out these paints here. It's got a nice big thick pool of paint going there, a bit too much, which is why I'm dabbing into it and then spreading it out elsewhere. You can see that the fluorescents really stand out. Yeah, it was fun. I did learn with these paints. I think they are, well, they're an Amazon brand, I believe, called something like Meedon, Meedon. They were good. I had fun. They were creamy. They've got things like pastel colours in there, which were more like gouache, but they don't layer tremendously well. I learned to my detriment, thankfully on Skeletor. Having painted the wash layer on Skeletor, I then went back the next day and tried to paint over, and it all just dissolved in front of me, which I had to repair. Just washed everything off. Thank goodness it wasn't this one, that's all I can say. There I am with my 0 brush going around a million tiny dots, which is not unusual for me. It's something that I like to do, bizarrely. Noses. I didn't mention the nose when I was talking about drawing. Think of the nose as an upside down heart. This one obviously is an upside down heart, but if I said to you an upside down triangle. I don't think that would make so much sense, because a triangle can do whatever it pleases. But a sort of elongated upside down heart is what you are aiming for between the cavernous eye sockets. And how you shape the eye sockets will give character. So on my Space Alien one, my B-movie glowing skull, she's got the Frida Kahlo eyebrow going on, and it changes it completely. Whereas this one here is much cuter. She's sort of got more almond cat eye shapes, and her cheeks are rounder, and the lines are softer. There's all sort of prettiness going on. I like the colorway with this. I had fun with the colorway with this, and it was really about using the fluorescent paint and seeing how that went. But they kind of revealed themselves to me as I went along, and I stuck with her, as you'll see throughout this video. When you are creating art for fun, when it is your time in the week and you've worked hard all the week, and now this is your moment to do what makes you happy, then for goodness sake, do what makes you happy. Don't feel duty bound. It can happen sometimes. You start a thing and you're not feeling it, but you feel like, oh, well, I have to do this because I've started now. And on occasion, that can be the right thing. If you don't give up too early on art because you can't do anything particularly glorious just in one coat, but don't pursue it forever and ever. If you're not feeling it, and it is the feeling that matters, if it's making you feel annoyed, bored, grumpy in any shape or form, remember why you're doing it in the first place. This is your time to feel cozy, comfy, happy, creative. And if what you're feeling is fury and you're looking at this thing and hating it, and yeah, walk away, do something else, get a cup of tea or something, and remember why you were there in the first place. Now with her, I wasn't feeling grumpy. I held off for a long time trying to decide what colour her eyes should be, which is why I painted everything else in first. And you can see the whites of her eyes, I've just done them, aren't white at all. They are fluorescent yellow. If I woke up with fluorescent yellow eyes and teeth, I might be concerned, but they seem to work for her. And her pupils, not her pupils, come on, her irises are this violet colour, this sort of reddy, plummy, purpley colour, which I think really works against the fluorescent yellow. I am a big fan of using purple and yellow in any form. I mean, we've got fluorescent yellow in this one, but golds, ochres, things like that is part of what turns up in most of my art, is to have a warm tinge of something yellow based and shadows that are purple based. I find that gives me great enjoyment. So why should this skull be any different? Going in here, giving her a bit of eyeliner. I think that was purple, although I have a feeling I went back over it in a different colour later. And really what I'm doing here is just happily drifting off into a world of my own with my zero brush. And I suggest that you do the same, because this fine detail, once you've done all the washes and they're dried, the fine detail is what allows you to play. You can really bust out all the colours and have fun. Am I going to? Oh no, I wasn't going to show you. I've put her away now. Skeletor's back. Oh my goodness, I really can't stand. I can't stand this one. But this was me persevering. I knew at this point already, like, oh, why am I doing this? But it only had one wash of colour on it, so I refused to walk away at this point, even though I was grumpy with it. I persevered for a while, but not a great while. You can see that I'm thinking, what should I do with this? Okay, I'll paint that bit blue. It didn't have the same flow for me as the other one. And I think when you are creating art, it's important that with this kind of thing, you're able to turn your brain off and just go with the flow, because that, for me, is why you're there. Is just to flow and enjoy and not particularly think and get lost in the detail. And I didn't feel like that while I was doing this particular one. I don't know why. I really don't know why. It's not that it's a terrible drawing. I mean, it's different to the other one, completely different. But when I went in with this, I was thinking, oh, I'll make her into some sort of sorceress. And like I say, just Skeletor from He-Man didn't do it for me in the slightest. This was the one, like I say, I used the gouache-like colour, the pastel blue. I think you'll probably see in a minute I start putting some pastel blue on the rings. There you go. That's it. And I let that dry and went over it again, and then it disappeared. It all came off. It smushed, and I had to do a lot of dabbing and wiping and crisis control, and then come back and have another go on something I already hated. So at that point, once I'd sort of fudge fixed it, I didn't bother anymore. So I abandoned that one not long after that. I went back to the B-movie one, I think, because that first coat had dried by that point, and started doing that. There she is. I knew I did. I cut out the large bit where I lost my mind with the other one, and went back to this B-movie one. So I was thinking reds, greens, Mexican colours, without trying to make it look like Christmas. But actually, I didn't make it look like Christmas. I made it look like 1950 instead. So there you go. But there's lots of detail on this one. I've got the big bold flowers. She is wearing a tiara as well, and the circles around the neck are intended to be pearls or beads of some kind. I was thinking pearls when I did it. It was hard with the drawing of the sugar skulls. What I found when I started was I wasn't quite sure what I was drawing. It's hard to explain, but they are a skull. And when I started, when I had all these sick-looking clowns in Biro, I couldn't make my mind up as I was drawing whether I was drawing a skull or a person with skull makeup on. And that sounds like it's not much of a decision to make. You do it one way or the other, but I kept sort of finding myself in some weird middle ground, not really understanding what I was doing, which is what led to them looking rather ill. So they are quite a hybrid thing. Having said that, looking at this one, I'm still not certain whether I've drawn a skull or someone with makeup on. I guess it is someone with makeup on. But the face shape, the head shape, obviously is very exaggerated, which doesn't look like drawing someone with makeup on. I had a go at drawing some with hair, thinking that I could put wigs or hats or something, and that didn't work for me yet. What am I up to here? I'm giving her some nice green highlight. That was the pastel green paint, I think, or the fluorescent green. No, it's the fluorescent green. There you go. And she's going to get lip liner in fluorescent green as well. I don't think she turned out badly. I really don't. But she just didn't amuse me as much as the other one. I still gave her far more of a shot than the blue one, than Skeletor. But I kind of knew here that I was going through the motions. So I thought, well, I'll take it further, because I am testing the paints and I want to see what the paints can do, and I want to try some different colours. But I knew at this point that ultimately the destination was to make these things really quite sparkly and spangly. If you're in the UK like I am, you would say Strictlify them, dancing with the stars everywhere else on the planet. But I knew I was going to throw glitter and sparkles all over it, and it's an investment to do that. It's an investment of time and its resources, and I mean, not a huge investment, but still, I knew that this was not going to make it that far. I just didn't love it enough to be bothered to do that. So I faffed around. I like the bright red of the flowers. I think that works. I think it does work on a level. It just is not something that I'm finding particularly attractive. There they all are lined up. What came next? Oh, that's right. I decided. I think this was another day. I think this was the day, and they'd all dried, so I didn't want to get the paints out anymore. Having seen how they'd smushed all over the Skeletor picture, I didn't want that happening to any of the others. So I thought I would play it safe at this point, bail out of the paint, and bust out the acrylic markers, which is a good second layer to have, good vibrant second layer. This is a kind of limey fluorescent type green. I'm adding dots and outlines to give more texture to my favourite one. I do like these pens. These are the Artex ones that I've used in the video before, but they are cheap and cheerful. Definitely, they're not of a great quality. They're useful because this is not going in a gallery anyway. This is just messing about. So they're a good messing about price. You don't feel that you need to be precious with them. I spoke before in a video. It's if you have things that are so precious that you don't want to waste them, then in my experience anyway, I don't want to have fun with them. I get inhibited by them. So the fact that they are a bit cheap and cheerful and can well, they sort of separate sometimes. They need a bit of encouragement here or there. It's okay because I'm not looking to do marvelous things. I'm just amusing myself, and that's okay. If they were all Posca pens, and I think I mentioned this before, and there is a Posca pen, I absolutely love that white outliner. You can see the difference it's made there. But if they were all very expensive acrylic pens, I would hesitate to use them up in this manner. The acrylic pens, I'm just saying I've got my brush pen out now. The acrylic pen, the green, sort of took away some of the lines. It masked some of the outlines, and I wanted to go back in here and add some line backs so that we had some depth because it adds punch. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going back over the top of the acrylic that I'd sort of put on as almost like an extra halo type outline just to give it a bit of a glow. Don't often use the big thick nibs. Is this the brush? No, I think that's the 1mm nib that I've got there. I don't often use the thick ones. To be honest, the thin ones have been used to destruction, so they're not that cooperative at the moment. I do need some new ones. But in this instance, I was drawing on top of a lot of paint, and the thicker nib, the softer nib, was the pen for the job. If you have the small ones, they can very quickly pack up if you drag them through paint. I had decided I'd had enough and really wanted to get to the sparkly bit. So off came the washi tape, and you have to know when you're done and why you were there. And why I was there was to bust out the sparkles. So there she is, sparkle-less, and I did know that she was the only one I was going to add sparkles to. The sparkles I'm speaking of are now in the shot, and I actually bought all of what you can see there as a kit. So there's a tray of like Diamante rhinestones, and there are some glitters, and this little glue that I've got, and the tweezers all came together. It was actually for makeup. It was on Amazon. It was face paint for festivals, things like that. So it was really bang on for what I wanted. And that little black brush that you can see on the table also came with it, and I'll be using that with the glitter in a while. So it was good value for having some fun with. And much like I was just saying about the acrylic markers, buy things that you are going to have fun with, that don't scare you, they don't inhibit you because you've spent a fortune on them. You haven't got guilt because you've bought them. They are there purely for fun. When I first got those paints, like I say, they were free, which was mind-blowingly exciting. I immediately knew I had to have glitter and sparkles if I was going to do these sugar skulls. As it turns out, they only went on one. And this is what is happening here. I am having a big old row with this, I guess, latex glue. It's makeup glue. It's face glue, and I thought I would use what was there because it's got the tiny little brush, and it seemed perfect for the job. But the more I did it, the more it got on my fingers and on the end of the tweezers, and yeah, I'm sure you've been there. You understand. You stick to everything. Oh, here's the glitter. I was very sticky at this point, so I've just sort of randomly smushed the glue about, and now I'm patting the glitter on. The glitter, where it's makeup glitter, is very nice glitter actually. It's iridescent and different sized flakes, so it really gives a nice effect. It's not the kind of glitter that you'd sort of find on a children's Christmas card. It's not that tiny stuff, and you'll be able to see if I think I'm going to hold it up. Yep, you can see how that's twinkling. Lovely. That was pink that I've been putting around the flowers, and now this is, it looks white in the pot, but it's clear iridescence. And I was going to be quite reserved with this iridescent glitter, but I started using it, and then everything got iridescent glitter on it because I'd started using it. And you can see I'm tentatively outlining. Here's a little polite bit that I'm going to outline. There you go. Little tiny, ooh, careful. And then a polite pat of some glitter on top of that. There we go. Yeah, I'm being restrained. This is all very civilized. About 10 minutes after that, everything was covered in it because it is art crack. What can I say? If it moves, it has to be glittered. So I was enjoying myself, which is the whole point. It is absolutely the whole point. That was why I was there. That's why I'd bought the stuff. So there you go. She is done. She is sparkly. She no longer remembers her less pretty friends, the weird Skeletor one and the one from outer space. She's moved on. I'd moved on. There they all are, lined up, you can see. So, sugar skulls. I kind of had fun. I don't know that I want to draw them again, if I'm honest. I mean, obviously I had fun with the glitter on the last one, but the purple one, no. And this one, not really. Not really. But this one, yeah, love it. And if I ever do them again, they will be this kind of style. But there we go. I hope you have had fun doodling while we've all been here. And do join me again. Thanks for watching.